What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. Today we are working on the 2022 Jeep Rubicon. And yes, we did get a 2-liter turbo in this Jeep. There's a couple reasons for that. One being that was what was on the lot and we didn't really have a choice. But I would have to say that if I had the choice, I probably would have chose the 2-liter turbo anyway. I say that now because I only have 700 miles and everything's been great. But that's just kind of where we're at this point. I did own a 3.6 liter pentastar in my previous Jeep Wrangler, and I was less than impressed with it. I found that it was always screaming, trying to catch up with the car in front of me. If I was following anybody, it just seemed underpowered. I didn't like the way it sounded, and it had those variable displacement oil pump issues. So I had to have the oil pump replaced on our warranty, which is never a good thing because that's kind of the lifeblood of your engine. So I ended up trading that in, and yeah, that was all history. So I never had a really good taste in my mouth about the 3.6 liter, so having the 2-liter turbo is a totally new thing for me. There is one little thing, as this engine is actually made in Italy, and some might say the Fiat stuff isn't the greatest stuff in the world, but I can tell you a couple things that did come from Italy that were awesome. One being pizza, two being Ferrari and Lamborghini, and so basically this is a Lamborghini in a Jeep, and we're gonna go with that. But all jokes aside, I did check in and see if there was any like real bad reviews on this engine. And to be honest, like, it's been out since 2018, so it's been out for about 4 years now, and there's no real glaring issues that I could see. I mean, if there is any things that I maybe missed or I will come to expect with this engine, definitely drop that in the comments, because I mean, always with a wealth of information, there are people that know things that I don't. But if there's any issues with the 2-liter that I should know about, definitely drop those in the comments below. Now, if you're gonna work on your Jeep, you might notice the towel up on the windshield. There's a very good reason for that. What you wanna do is unhook your latches, and then we're gonna unhook the middle latch, push that off to the side, and then we lift our hood up. This is where your normal hood would be, and you can see how dark it is down there. Now, with a Jeep, this is the only way to do it. Nicely lay your hood back onto the windshield on our nice soft towel, and we have all this natural light to do our installation. So now, first glance under the hood of the 2-liter turbo, you can see we do have this nice engine cover right here. Now, if you look under the hood of the Bronco, if you guys remember, we were gonna get a Bronco, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, at least not at this point, because of just some of the things that they probably should have ironed out before they actually released the thing. But I think that entire launch was a complete mess, and as well as under the hood, it looks pretty terrible on that. It looks like a pre-production vehicle, and this one looks nice and clean, and I can give Jeep that one. At least they made it look nice when you open the hood. So now, being that we do have a turbocharger, which is sitting right here, which is a little close to our coolant reservoir, and this thing is, well, I mean, obviously the coolant reservoir is made to get hot, but yeah, it's kind of just, I think real estate wise, that's where they had to put it. And I'm not entirely sure where they put the twin turbos on the Bronco, but I'm sure they're stuffed underneath somewhere. But either way, this makes it very nice and easy to get at. So when I have the turbo engine, I'm like, okay, well, we probably need to put on a blow-off valve because that's gonna sound cool, right? So in your factory engine, you do have a diverter valve, which is sitting underneath this cover right here. And basically what it does is the excess boost pressure, when your throttle plate closes, it just recirculates it throughout the engine. Now, what we can do with this part right here is vent that to atmosphere and give us our little sound. So hopefully it's going to be noticeable. This is a very small blow-off valve, obviously, because it is a small engine with a small diverter valve, and this is probably all you're going to need for this tiny little turbo. But just one of those fun little items that you can add to your engine just to kind of give it that little bit of extra. Not to mention, this is an aluminum part, or aluminium, being that it is made in Australia. It has some very good quality controls that turbosmart uses. They test all their valves before they send them out, and you're pretty much good to go. Just want to make sure you don't lose your O-rings, because they are dry just sitting in here, and if they do fall out, you do not want to be missing that, because then you can lose boost pressure out from your charge pipe through this area. So we want to make sure you have both your O-rings in place. So what we're going to do, there is 3 bolts or screws that are holding on our diverter valve. After we remove this cover, we're going to remove our factory diverter valve, put them side by side with this one, and then we can install our new turbosmart blow-off valve for our little Jeep turbo. So first off, we're going to grab a 10mm, get these two out, and then we can pop this top cover off and access our factory diverter valve. So now that our engine cover is removed, you can see our plastic charge pipe right here, and then we have our factory diverter valve right there. So now that the cover's off, we're gonna start this thing up, give it a couple of revs, so you can kind of see the difference between our old diverter valve and what we're changing it up to. So now we're going to grab our 8mm. I'm using a ratchet wrench, and let's get this thing removed. And I think for the one on the bottom, I'm going to grab an extension and an 8mm socket. And you definitely want to be careful you don't drop any of these bolts. On the inside one, I just pushed it into the valve just so it would kind of come out together. And then to unhook our wiring, we're just going to slide this little red tab up. Do that with our finger, then push down. Just going to squeeze and pull, and there you go. Our factory diverter valve is removed. So a side-by-side comparison, you can see the valves are generally the same size. Then you do have your exits on either side here with our turbosmart, and then this one here just allows everything to go back into your engine, taking away all your fun and no psh psh noises. So now carefully, we've got our bottom bolt just kind of set in place here, holding it in with my finger, and then we can see our bolt orientation. You're going to want your wire to actually go down towards the passenger side. You can see your bolt orientation, and we'll carefully set this guy into place. So now we got our bottom one just run up, still have it in there loosely. Just wanted to make sure that it's nicely threaded so it doesn't drop down. We want to tighten these evenly, make sure everything seats the way it's supposed to. They're not crazy tight. Remember, this is just plastic. Then we have our wiring. I'm going to connect that back up. Snaps right into place. Push down our red lock tab, and everything is nicely where it's supposed to be. Set that down in there. And we can try it out. Now we'll put our engine cover back on. We'll give it a couple more revs, see if you can hear it a little bit differently with the engine cover on, and then we'll close the hood and see if we can hear it with everything kind of nicely closed up. And then, well, we got to go for a drive and see how we hear it in the cab on the road. All right, here we go, everybody. I'll be quiet so you can hear it. You hear that right at the end. As soon as I let off the throttle, you get that little psst, and that's exactly what I wanted. To be honest, it was a little quiet when it was sitting there at idle without the hood open, and I was wondering, I'm like, is this thing gonna be loud enough? Is this gonna be worth doing that I even noticed it at all? But definitely is. Also, this is with the windows up. We just got the windows tinted, so yeah, we can't roll them down at the moment, and it is a little windy anyways. You probably wouldn't be able to hear anything other than wind noise if I had the windows down. But what we're gonna do here is another little quick pull, see if you guys can hear that nice little crispy whoosh sound that we're going for with this blow-off valve. There's nobody behind me. And let's go. You don't hear it on the shifts, obviously, because I still had it matted, but as soon as I let off that throttle and that throttle plate closed on the throttle body, boom, you get that little whoosh. And that's exactly what I wanted on this thing. You guys, I'm sure you probably heard it through the microphone, but if you didn't, it's definitely there. You're not gonna be disappointed. I mean, obviously it's not gonna be like some crazy race car, but for the size of the turbo and the size of the blow-off valve, you definitely still hear it. That never gets old. Why does this not come with it from the factory? I know why, because then we wouldn't have to buy one, right? But yes, these are made in Australia by turbosmart, and I will have the part number here at the end of the video. I'll show you guys the box just so it's part of the video and you don't have to go looking in the description and all of that. But yes, I am very excited to have this blow-off valve on the Jeep. Everything's good. There's no check engine lights or anything like that, and I'm very, very happy with the product so far. But I can't say much for the fuel economy if you're gonna be playing with this thing, because it's just too much fun. I can't tell you how much fun that is. Just having that turbo on the car and then being able to get those turbo sounds finally in this vehicle, definitely worth all the money to me. So here it is, the box for our blow-off valve. This is the part number, and if you want to have that whoosh sound when you let off the throttle, you're going to want the vent to atmosphere, which is this one in particular. There is two of them. Just be aware that you buy the right one. So there it is, everybody, why I bought a 2-liter turbo in my Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. And as you guys heard, that new blow-off valve is an added piece that it just needed. I mean, that is just so much more fun when you hear that turbo spool up and you get off the throttle, hear that little whoosh sound. It's just, that's everything you want in a turbo vehicle, and now we can have it for our Jeeps. So definitely check out turbosmart and get you one of those if you're into those Fast and the Furious kind of sounds for your Jeep turbo. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you made it this far in the video, drop turbo in the description below. And as always, keep that hammer down.